Thank you for joining us for the 2021 623 State of the District Address. My name is Jenny Lake, and it's absolutely a privilege to serve as new superintendent of Roseville area schools. Previous to my current leadership role, I've also served the district as teacher, coach, activities director, principal, assistant superintendent, and as I shared at the workshop kickoff event, I'm most proud of my role in the district as parent. Currently, my family, we have a first grader at Emmett D. Williams and 3 older children who have graduated from Roseville area schools. Beyond my role in the district, I'm also a taxpayer and a resident of the city of Roseville. In Roseville area schools, I'm incredibly committed to our focused work around social and racial justice, raising up the voices of our students in and out of the curriculum, honoring the experiences of our families, and celebrating the tremendous work of our school staff. At this time, I'd like to recognize our school board members who are able to join us this evening. If you'd please stand. School Board Chair, Mike Boguszewski, Clerk, Curtis Johnson, Director Todd Anderson, and Director Dr. Frank Shaw. If you could please join me in giving them a round of applause for your leadership. Thank you. Here will be an overview of our presentation this evening. So first we will do, of course, a welcome, followed by staff introductions, the presentation highlights from last school year. Yes, there are many highlights. A COVID update, a bond construction update, referendum summary, and a vision for our future. Our presenters will actually be introduced as they walk up on stage. So at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our new Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Miss Melissa Sonic.
Thank you, Dr. Lake. So I have to say, when I was pulling into Rams this evening, I drove past the fields and there was this thunderous applause, and I was like, wow, like what a warm welcome. And it turns out the soccer team was playing and somebody has scored that actually wasn't for me. But I hope that everybody has had that kind of warm welcome as we've returned to school. So I'd like to share some updates this evening from the 2021 school year. And while the last year or so has been complex, there are also things that we learned, ways that we have grown, and things that we're proud of. We learned change can sometimes happen faster than we might think. Learning can take many shapes and forms and can happen outside the brick and mortar of a school building. We can do more with teaching and learning using technology than we all probably thought possible. And we as a school community can do hard things. We are resilient. Here are some additional highlights from last year. We partnered with families in new ways. Some examples include our District Roadmap to Return, or RTR team, which then branched out into school RTR teams. Schools also held town halls, and some schools are continuing that this year as well. We worked to be sure everyone had access to food. In fact, there were over 1.3 million meals served. We removed barriers to technology by handing out 3,000 devices and 400 hotspots for grades kindergarten through 6th grade. We provided teaching and learning via distance learning using Seesaw, Google Classroom, and Schoology. We engaged families in learning in new ways, and as one parent said, it was like being in my child's classroom every day. We transformed how we provide professional development for educators and created virtual learning opportunities, both synchronous and asynchronous, using what we now call PD pathways. And we transformed our teaching and learning department into the Office of Educational Equity. While the last year has not been easy, there are things that we have learned that we are using to improve our systems overall, and as Superintendent Lake says, return to better. And with that, I will turn it over to Communications Director Josh Collins to share some additional updates and information. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Good evening. I'm very excited to give you all an update on the construction and building projects that have been underway since the community very generously supported our 2017 building bond referendum. And I silly did not bring an iPad, much like Melissa did, so I'm going to gaze up fondly to my left and see what is on the screen. So as, of course, we're also sharing with you that we have returned to school in another year of COVID, and we are prepared. We have learned a great deal. As you have heard that we are promoting vaccinations. We are making sure that everyone in the community is very aware of opportunities to receive a vaccine. Currently, that is only available to those ages 12 and up, but as we've seen at the high school, that is absolutely beneficial, because one of the big benefits is if you are a student who has been vaccinated, or if you're a staff person who has been vaccinated, that will mean that you do not have to go into quarantine or isolation if you are a close contact inside of a school building. So that is one of the key ways that we can help keep our schools open and running, and that is to get those vaccinations as soon as you're able to. And we, of course, are all eager for the news of when those under the age of 12 will be eligible to receive them. We continue to do a number of mitigation factors in place. We are maintaining social distance whenever possible. Last year, the governor's orders required us to keep a certain amount of distance, and this year we are, because we're not in that blended or hybrid learning model, we don't have the room to guarantee that there will be 6 or 3 feet of separation at all times. So we are keeping that in place wherever it is possible. Masks, of course, are required for all students and all staff in buildings. And what we have found this year is that is going quite well. Students, sometimes you have to remind them that their nose is connected to their lungs. But we're very fortunate that our students, with some gentle reminders, are able to correct and wear those successfully. And we just announced, the school board very recently made the decision that staff are going to be required to prove or provide an assurance that they have gone through a full course of the COVID-19 vaccine. If you elect to not do that, it is also acceptable to submit to testing. And we're currently working through our Human Resources Department to communicate with staff the details of how that will work, how they'll provide us that assurance, and also let us know if they opt for the weekly testing. Again, this is just another step that we think is important for our families to have a sense of comfort sending their students into school, and also in order to keep school going in person. So now we'll go to the building project updates that I started with. So this has been very exciting. If you've driven past really any one of our schools over the past several years, you've seen construction. This 2017 building bond levy that was approved by the community truly touched every single facility, every one of our school buildings, and we're very proud of that. We're going to go through each of the sites, and I'm just going to show you one slide from each of our 11 schools, and that's going to give you an update of what we have seen recently. So let's go ahead to the next one. So we're very proud of the new facility at the Fairview site that is called Abetu Techa, and I'm going to give you all an opportunity to say it with me in just a moment. But this is a new building that sits where the Fairview Community Center once resided. It houses all of the same functions, but it has a smaller footprint. And it is also a building that has state-of-the-art materials, state-of-the-art HVAC. We are not as part of the building project, but we are right now installing solar panels on top of the building, and that's a project my colleague Sherry, I'm sure Thompson will be able to, if you had questions that were more specific, we can get into the details of that. But it's a beautiful facility. If you drive by it, you'll see that it is up and running, and its name, Abetu Techa Education Center, comes from a desire from our school board that they expressed back in September of 2019 to have a facility that was named in recognition and in honor of the history of the land on which all of our schools sit, and that is Dakota land. That was taken from them, and over the course of many years, they were denied free and unhindered access to that. So the board felt it important to recognize that, to acknowledge that our buildings do sit on those grounds of the Dakota people, and we wanted a name that appropriately honored that. So we worked with our American Indian Parent Advisory Committee, and we worked with them to discuss and to speak with elders in the community about what would be an appropriate name. They went through a process that involved reflection, that involved prayers, and arrived at this term Abetu Techa, which means a new day. So it is a hopeful site. This is a building that serves members of the community of all ages, from our earliest early learners to our seniors who come for our senior programs. So it's a lovely site, and we'll go through trying to say it here. It is Abetu Techa. Abetu Techa. Can you all join me? Abetu Techa. Very good. Thank you. These are some photos that are just hot off the press. We took these just today. You can see we have furniture and places for students, for community members to sit. Going across the top, the middle photo is from our adult learning center. So adult basic education, adult diploma is up in that space. On the far right, you can see the newly constructed pool. Just beneath that is a new gymnasium. In the middle, on the lower row there, is the playground, which I believe opened today. And when I happened to be there, it was bustling with excitement. So this is something people have been watching, youngsters have been watching, and parents, and we're very glad that people are able to finally use that. And then the bottom left photo is the entrance. We're going to be holding a celebration on October 5th. Is that right, Karen? Thank you. October 5th. We have information on our website that you can look there. We're going to have some speakers. We'll have some traditional native drumming and dancing, and there'll be refreshments. It's going to be a great opportunity for people to come and walk through the building, take a look at all of the new facilities and the new opportunities that are there for our community. All right, now we're going to go on a tour around the district. So Brimhall Elementary, and many of these buildings, you'll see some similar language on the left as far as what are the projects. We have a lot of expanding of space. So some of our schools that felt constricted, where we maybe didn't have enough classroom space, we expanded those. You'll see a number of these. We have new special education spaces, new construction to roadways to make traffic driving much safer for people moving amongst pedestrians. So here you can see the media center, an art room, and classrooms for students receiving special education services. A number of our buildings needed upgrades to the security in the entranceways and the vestibules. Here at Central Park, you can see a photo of the new secure entrance. In these times, we know that having a secure and controlled entrance is very important at our schools for just ensuring safety and security. We also have photos there of a new multi-purpose space and classrooms, and of course at Central Park we have the STEM lab. So they have great space there for all of their wonderful equipment for doing science, technology, engineering, and math. At Edgerton, here you can see photos of their renovated media center. Again, they have a new secure entrance there also at Edgerton. And photo on the lower left is of their cafeteria expansion, which allows for greater space when seating. That, of course, was has been helpful as we've needed to try to have more social distance during our lunches. At M.D. Williams, we also have a new expanded gymnasium there, special education classrooms, and a media center. All of those facilities got great upgrades. And our media centers, when you walk into them, they are spaces not just of books, but they are a modern-day media center where you also have technology, and you have media center staff working with students on any number of things, ranging from technical devices to books. At Falcon Heights, we also have photos here of a new art room. That is the top rightmost photo. It's a beautiful space, and I was in there today and got to see students working on art, and it's just, there's nothing better than seeing elementary students working on art. The lower right is their renovated media center, and then on the left is their secure entrance. At Harambe, I don't have a picture of it here, but we have a pre-K addition at Harambe, which is home to the pre-K services there. We also have photos here of a renovated classroom, special education space, and a multi-purpose room. Little Canada was one of our first buildings to begin construction under this process. And you can see here on the left, we have student classroom space. We have an example of what single-stall restrooms look like in our school there on the upper right. And on the bottom is a renovated classroom. You'll see a lot of these new classrooms. One of the biggest features are windows, windows, windows. There is just an incredible sense of brightness, and I have to guess I would look to some of my colleagues who are in the classrooms routinely. I'm sure they will say that it contributes significantly to a sense of positiveness in the room. Parkview Center, on the left photo there, you can see their secure entrance. They have new science labs at Parkview Center. That's the upper right photograph there. And then on the lower right is the Parkview Media Center. So wrapping up with two more schools at Roseville Area High School, this was a significant project that required phases of construction, of which we are still in. The final piece to be complete is what we will call the John J. Tyne Performing Arts Center. And that will be complete later this fall, and we'll have a naming ceremony for that. We added classrooms, we replaced science labs, we renovated special education spaces. Career Tech Ed got a significant boost in this renovation. And the next couple slides, when we get to them, you'll see some photos of those Career Tech Ed spaces. We also renovated the music rooms, the media center. We created flexible learning spaces, added security functions, a new auditorium, as I mentioned. And there is also a wonderful commons area, which if you've had a chance to go any of the tours, and we will be having an open house there also in October, and please do take a look at our website for details about that. But let's go ahead and shift to the next slide. On the left, you have an overhead view of our new wood shop. In the middle is a teaching kitchen where there are large screen TVs, and students are able to actually see the instructor working close up with a knife and working on preparing food. These culinary art spaces are truly cutting edge. On the right, we have the top, a fabrication lab where they work with textiles, with fabric, and with different materials. And on the lower right is a common space in the new E-wing, which is the new science and career tech ed wing of the building. On this large photo on the left, this just shows off some of the incredible new equipment that we have available. So if you're working in wood shop, not only do you have access to great new tools that you might find in any shop, we also have some very serious technology that allows students to do really major works. And here we have our teacher showing off a sander, which allows them to really work on giant pieces of wood. So students are working and learning from these things, and they're able to potentially get a job right in the fields as soon as they graduate. On the right, the top photo is our new auto body shop. So we used to have the Raider Body Shop operating out of Rams, and now it's over at the high school at Roz. And on the lower right, that's a photo of that common space where a lot of our tours start out and where you'll see a lot of our students congregating during lunchtime. Here at Roseville Area Roseville Area Middle School, we also renovated science labs and special education spaces. There's some flexible classroom space, art labs, security entrance. We added a gymnasium and a new scene shop. So improvements to some of the fields as well. Here you can see on the left a renovated science lab. On the upper right, a new gym and special education teaching spaces on the middle. So that's the end of my tour around the district. Thank you for, and if you do have questions on this or any other topic, you're welcome to email communications@isd623.org. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. At this time, I'd like to provide an overview of the district's need to renew and increase our current operating levy. I'll begin by again thanking our community for passing the 2017 bond referendum. As you just saw in the presentation, these funds were put to very good use, and our students are already seeing the benefits of our new facilities. And to emphasize, bonds are for buildings and levies are for learning. Research shows that the quality of our schools impacts the quality of our community. It's my job as superintendent to do all I can to ensure students get the kind of education they deserve and our community expects. While we do our best to live within our means, sometimes we need additional support from our community. To that end, after more than a year of planning and review, our school board unanimously approved placing 2 school funding requests on the November 2nd ballot. We want to be sure our community understands these requests and can make an informed vote when they go to the polls. This presentation will give you the context for the ballot questions, and we are glad to take questions at the conclusion of the presentation. First, a reminder of who we are as a school district. We have a long and proud history of providing strong educational programs, a talented, caring staff, and a shared vision for excellence. We're also fortunate to have decades of generous and reliable financial support from our community, which has enabled us to meet the educational needs of our students and our families. We work hard to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars and to be financially credible and transparent. We recently received the Certificate of Excellence for Excellent Comprehensive Financial Reporting, demonstrating our commitment to financial transparency, and accountability. The district's credit rating was recently upgraded by Moody's Financial Services. And now let's please watch a short video highlighting the need for additional funding from our community.
We are Roseville Area Schools! We are Roseville Area Schools! We are Roseville Area Schools!
In Roseville Area Schools, we have a long and proud history of providing strong educational programs, a talented, caring staff, and a shared vision of excellence. Our parents give us high marks on the return on their investment in our schools. To maintain the education our community expects and our students deserve, our school board unanimously approved placing 2 school funding requests on the November 2nd ballot. Question 1 would renew our existing operating levy before it expires with no tax increase to residents. This renewal would lessen but not eliminate major cuts in the future, and it would not allow us to address key areas identified by our community that impact our students. After a year of planning and review, the school board determined that renewing the levy alone was not enough. Question 2 would increase our levy for the first time in 15 years. With a net tax increase of $22 per month for the average homeowner, the additional revenue would fund key areas such as lowering class sizes, investing in student mental health, maintaining academic programs, expanding career pathways to better prepare students for various careers after graduation, and helping maintain our overall financial stability. Operating levies are an important source of local revenue for schools. The vast majority of Minnesota school districts have voter-approved levies to help pay for important school operating costs, including academic programs, classroom materials, and staff. But our current levy is among the lowest of comparable and neighboring school districts. Why are these requests coming to voters now? There are multiple reasons. State funding has not kept pace with inflation for nearly 20 years. Critical special education programs cost us nearly $10 million more each year than we receive from the state and federal governments. And we've already cut more than $8 million from our budget in the past 8 years. If these levy requests fail, there would be significant cuts across the district. Staff would be cut at all levels, academic and support programs would be cut, and fees would increase. The district's financial health would also take a big hit, leaving it exposed in case of any emergency. Our job is to provide the best education possible to prepare our students for life after high school, because we believe our students are vital to our community and our collective future. Please learn all you can about these important votes and be sure to vote on or before November 2nd.
Thank you for joining me in that video. You'll hear some of the messages again from me, and I think that's okay. It's important to understand the consequences of success or failure for both questions, and the next slides spell out the various scenarios that are possible. As shown here, passage of question 1 would help lessen major cuts, but we would not be able to address any critical needs, and in fact, ongoing cuts would be needed. If question 1 fails, we would face significant cuts in several areas and take quite a hit on our financial health. If question 2 also passes, we would have funds available to address some critical needs such as class sizes, various student supports, and academic programs. These are areas our community has identified as a priority in our schools. It would also strengthen our financial stability. This slide outlines what will take place if question 2 fails and no additional revenue is provided. There would be staff and program cuts in a range of areas. We would have to increase our fees, and our financial health would suffer as we would continue to make budget cuts. In summary, we have 2 ballot requests, one to renew the levy and a second to increase that levy. Question 2 is contingent on question 1, so can only pass if voters first approve question 1. If both questions are approved, we would again be able to support and enhance students' classroom experiences and provide more financial stability for our school district. Again, the items listed here were all identified as priorities by our school district and our community. And if either or both requests fail, we will have continued cuts and not be able to address these priorities. Finally, our school board unanimously approved bringing these requests to our voters because they and I believe that our students are a vital part of our community and our students are our future. We have prepared voter information materials that are available on the website, and we'll also continue to add to our referendum website, which you can refer to at your leisure. We're happy to answer all questions at the conclusion of this presentation. And at this time, I'm happy to introduce our Director of Student Achievement, Mr. Jake Von de Linde.
Thank you, Dr. Lake. My name is Jake Von de Linde, and I am the Director of Student Achievement in the Office of Educational Equity. I also want to acknowledge that I have long ties to the district as a graduate of Roseville Area High School, a current Roseville resident and taxpayer, and most importantly, the dad of 2 Roseville Area School students, one at Roseville Area High School and one at Roseville Area Middle School. As a parent, I could definitely see the struggle that kids had with distance learning away from their peers, friends, and school staff. Not being physically present in school until late last year was difficult mentally and emotionally for my kids. They kept up academically, but we saw changes in their attitudes, energy, and enthusiasm. Being away from school was especially difficult for my youngest son last year, as he was supposed to be the top of the school as a 6th grader at Emmett D. Williams. Even though distance learning was isolating, the best thing about his experience was his teacher. Shout out to Mrs. Radke. He is a very relational learner, and she was able to build relationships with the students and keep them growing, even while our students were apart. My older son is more quiet and private, and we didn't realize how much distance learning had impacted him until he came back from his first day in the building last March and said, "I didn't realize how much I missed being at school until now." That is a profound statement from our 16-year-old to openly admit that he missed school. Typically, we hear older kids talking about how they don't want to go back to school after different breaks during the year. But I think this experience of being away for so long brought a new perspective for my kids. They found out for themselves how important it was to be at school with their classmates and staff. And I feel like that is one of the biggest takeaways for me, that we have a generation of kids who now have a different appreciation and outlook on school. They found out how much they miss it when they can't be there. I guess absence does make the heart grow fonder. So going into this year, I'm so excited that our students are back in person, and I think they are really excited as well. It is such a different experience teaching kids face-to-face than on screens. So what I look forward to most this year is the relationships between students and staff continuing to build and grow stronger. I believe that will improve the mental health of our students and our staff. And lastly, if you didn't know, this week is homecoming for the Raiders, and it is great to see that so many of the homecoming activities, although possibly modified, are continuing, and the school spirit and camaraderie that is built during a homecoming week exists. So I have to finish by saying, go Raiders. And I am proud to introduce Dr. Jen Wilson and Ms. Jovita Hernandez from Emmett D. Williams.
All right. Thank you, Jake. Hello, my name is Jen Wilson, the building principal at Emmett D. Williams, and also the proud parent of 2 Roseville area school students.
And my name is Jovita Hernandez. I'm a second grade teacher at Emmett D. Williams, and I have had 4 grown children who graduated from Roseville and went throughout the entire schooling at Roseville. And I currently have a junior who was involved in the homecoming activities last year. And despite the challenges of last year, we want to highlight some of our top moments and share a vision for the future. As you can see in the top left picture, we worked on social emotional learning for all of our students, paired with the importance of living out our equity vision. A 4th grade student proved this in her drawing. We are stronger, braver together.
In the second picture, you can see one of our many, many, many Zoom meetings. Each month, we held an all-school morning meeting with all students focused on a given book that we'd all read that supported the goal of making our students good humans. We had students and staff share their stories in this new online format that we plan to do this year also.
The third picture of Mackenzie drumming exemplifies the new ways in which we taught our students. We got them outside as much as possible and engaged in moving. It was frequent that our music and PE teachers would be outside delivering their lessons.
The fourth picture, outlined in orange, is one of our students that receives special education services. We truly appreciated the district priority of having our students that receive special education able to be in-person learning as much as possible.
Our fifth picture shows the true community and school spirit of EDW. About 50 of us dressed up as superheroes, Captain Underpants, during Teacher Appreciation Week. Making sure we enjoyed ourselves with our colleagues was an important way for our staff to collaborate and make it through the school year. We're hoping that this year, during Teacher Appreciation Week, the administration will dress up as Captain Underpants.
All right, now we will talk about our vision for this school year. Our focus will continue to be on the equity work and ensuring all students and families feel valued as part of our community. This is evidenced in one of our fourth grade drawings again.
The book in the middle is one of many that will showcase to ensure absent narratives and respond in culturally relevant ways to our students. The theme at EDW this year is a map into the world with the following quote that serves as a goal for all of us: seeking beauty and connection in a busy world. A Map into the World is a book by Kau Kaliali, a local Minnesota author.
The upper right picture shows one of our kindergarten classes in Circle. It's our priority to have student voice shared throughout these circles, and they're part of our daily schedule.
On the bottom left is an outside view of our new art room and shows the high levels of student engagement, a goal in each of our classrooms.
We will continue family partnerships and have flexibility with how we meet with our families, either in person or virtually. At our upcoming conferences, we're giving the families the choice to choose if they'd prefer to come in or meet on Zoom.
Finally, we will continue our traditions of school spirit and pride and hopefully win the district's spirit contest again this year.
We have started the school year fully in person, and the hustle of the year has taken hold. We've built relationships and strengthened learning. Our vision for the year, as Jovita mentioned, was to seek beauty and connection in our busy world. Thank you. I will now introduce Delon Smith, our Director of Equity and Innovation.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wilson and Ms. Jovita, and shout out to EDW. Some beautiful things happening there. So I come to, once again, my name is Delon Smith, the Director of Equity and Innovation in the Office of Educational Equity. You've heard from my colleague already, Jake Von der Linde. He is also a director in the Office of Educational Equity. And we have been, as you know, we have gone through this novel pandemic, coronavirus, but we were already living with another pandemic of racism. And we have been toiling over how do we respond and be there for our families and our students. We've spent the early part of this year, and when I say this year, I mean this fiscal school year, so we're talking about July 1st, looking at this quote, and it reads, "We need to contribute to a different future by fundamentally reimagining education." That means putting the learner at the center of everything we do. Now that sounds so cliche because we say it all the time, right? But we want to actually take that and put it into action. Zaretta Hammond says that we mistakenly think that information is transformation. Transformation happens when we put things into action. And so Dr. Lake had this vision of taking our teaching and learning department and coupling it and bringing it under the umbrella of equity. And so every major decision that happens in this district runs through a lens of equity. And I'm very proud to lead that effort with my director, Jake Von der Linde. The Office of Educational Equity, just want to give you the mission for that. It is to lead the district's efforts in creating a culturally competent, racially inclusive, anti-racist learning environment while dismantling barriers to ensure that all students are successful. There's action words in that. Creation of culturally competent, racially inclusive, and racist learning environments, and dismantling of barriers to ensure all of our students are successful. So we have two charges there, to create and to dismantle. The Office of Educational Equity, the Office of Educational Equity is, this year, is all about action. And so we have a essential question that we attempt to answer this year. And that is, what role do I play in creating an anti-racist environment, and to what actions will I commit that will foster and cultivate that environment? That's our charge for the Office of Educational Equity. That's our charge for every staff here in Roseville. From wherever you sit, whatever your role is, what will you do to cultivate and to foster an anti-racist environment? The way that we are going to answer that this year in the Office of Educational Equity is we have studied, or we've been studying, and we will continue to study, the work of Dr. Muhammad Khalifa. And he talks about these 4 different areas of culturally responsive schools. And those areas are critical self-reflection, culturally responsive pedagogy, culturally responsive content, and inclusive communities. So in those 4 areas, we will spend this year learning how we can be better at critically reflecting on the ways that we do things and the systems that we run in this district. We will spend time talking about our pedagogy and how we teach our students. We will spend time talking about our content and what we teach, and we will spend time talking about how we can be a close-knit, inclusive community. And so all of our PD, everything that we do this year will all be centered around answering that essential question of how do we foster and cultivate that anti-racist environment. So that's the Office of Educational Equity. I'm really proud to be a part of that, and I look forward to how we will show up for our families, our communities, and our students. Thank you. And I will welcome to the stage Carmelo.
Hi. My name is Carmelo McWilliams. I'm a current Roseville area high school junior. This year, I'm hoping that everything goes well, keep doing in-person learning. Currently staying at a 3.5 GPA. So I have 2 more years left until, well, actually 1 more year, until I am almost to that next step in life. Knowing that I have the support of my family or friends and also my teachers, I would like to really build on more communication, more bonds with other students and teachers. Personally, during my 9th and 10th year, I haven't even got to interact with teachers and other students. So this year and the next, I would like to really speak and talk to other students and teachers. Also, I'm a current AVID student, been there since 7th grade. Great program. Also, after-school activities include African American leaders. So many nice programs here. Debate, speech is amazing. Also, I've attended Edgerton Elementary School. Ms. Sonic was my previous teacher. Best. Rosa Area Middle School here, and then currently Area High School. And now to pass off to Hayden.
Thank you, Carmelo. Hello, everyone. My name is Hayden Hagg, and I'm a senior at Roseville Area High School. My dream is to be an architect. I've had this dream since the 4th grade. With encouragement from parents, guidance from my school counselor, and taking advantage of the Raider Career Pathways program, I've made the important connections in the architectural and construction industry. These relationships helped me land a full-time paid internship this summer at M.A. Mortensen, a Fortune 500 company. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Let me tell you a little bit more about how the Raider Career Pathways program has benefited me. First and foremost, by providing a curriculum that helps me compete with peers from limited spots in a collegiate architecture programs, I have taken Architectural Draft and Design 1 and 2, Woodworking and Exploring Engineering. Second, I participate in the ACE Mentor program at Ross, which is led by Mr. Wilson, who has been an incredible role model and I have the honor of TAing for this semester. Through ACE, thank you. Through ACE, I work closely on projects with industry professionals in architecture, construction, and engineering. It is through my involvement in ACE that I received my internship. I spent my summer shadowing project engineers, field engineers, safety compliance managers, and estimators. My office this summer had no walls. I was on site for a multi-million-dollar project to replace the wall panels at US Bank Stadium. I conducted safety checks on a new addition at the Mung College Prep Academy. I learned the procedures involved for asbestos abatement at the U of M Mechanical Engineering building, and I became Pro-Core certified at the Historical Society project at Fort Snelling. Thank you again. I cannot speak enough good things about the career-centric opportunities Ross has provided. They have set me up for success. With that said, I've already received early acceptance in the NDSU for next fall. Thank you guys, and may I introduce Ethan.
Okay, so I am Ethan Bang. I attended Emmett Williams Elementary, and in 7th grade I joined AVID. Now, last Friday I was asked by my STAR teacher to speak at this event, and I didn't really know why she chose me, and because I am a horrible wreck when it comes to talking in front of crowds. And because of that, I said yes, and I don't know why. And so I decided to take a risk and do this, which also leads into something that I want to do this school year. So I have social anxiety, which means I have an intense fear of being watched and judged by others, which I think started when I was in 5th grade. I was in the split class, and most of the kids there were well behaved, and so I was praised a lot. What that ended up doing for me was made me more insecure about myself and made me not want to make mistakes. And because of that, it has made me way more of a quiet kid and hard to cooperate with anyone. And so my confidence has really lowered ever since then. But ever since, so from last Christmas, my sister gave me this book called Dear Evan Hansen, and I really feel like I connected with it because the main character, Evan, also had social anxiety, and I think it was just really good for me to find a character who was like me in a way that didn't really have to do with race or anything like that. And there was a message in it that I think many people who also have social anxiety should listen to. It is "You Still Matter." And I think a common goal for a bunch of students, especially for me, is to get A's and B's. However, some people don't succeed in doing this and just give up because sometimes when they're given work, they say it's too much and don't care about doing it. Something that I found that most people struggle with is just getting motivation to finish the work, even if they've already started. And one of the biggest culprits of this is getting stuck on an assignment. And they think just because they're stuck on one problem, that means they can't do the rest. And something that most people forget is that you can still get help, whether that be friends, parents, or teachers. Now, I think something that should really be pushed, especially with middle school and high school, is getting help from your teachers, because they are willing to take time out of their day to help you with this. And they know if you are asking for help, that means that they know that you want to succeed in their class. And I think with the right time, and I think with the time and the right help, you can get back on track with the motivation that you need. Thank you for letting me speak.
All right, join me again in just thanking our student speakers. Whenever I watch students shine, one of my favorite things to do is to actually watch their families watching them, because love is invisible, but if we could see it, I think it would look a lot like the look on their families' faces. So thank you again to our students. Also, thank you for our parents, our families, and our staff who spoke here as well this evening. Thank you to everyone for joining us, those who are at home viewing and those who are here in person. At this time, we are going to transition to questions. And so those who are viewing online may send their questions to the district at communications@isd623.org, and we will get back to you. For those in person, if you have a question, we invite you to come to one of the microphones in the room. And again, thank you to everyone for attending tonight, both in person and virtually. I'll also say, anything that we've covered tonight, highlights from 2021, COVID updates, bond construction, referendum summary, any of the visions for the future. So feel free to ask any questions that you like.